We both went at the same time then, which is good.
Yeah. Welcome back to Books, Tea and Biscuits with me, Jo.
And me, Kim.
Right, we are late. We know
Yes.
we're late.
Sorry.
This is the June.
June.
Yes, the June.
What we read for June.
What we read for June.
But
because,
we're filming it in July.
Yeah,
Sorry.
because we did explain that there's been problem. I've been quite poorly, and then Kim wasn't able to, and then nasty things happened again. More bereavements and blah blah blah. So life has decided to have a go at us again. So we're late. So we're sorry. Now the books we're going to be reviewing are ones we didn't know we were going to be reading these. They were that
the mystery picks, weren't they?
And the three I picked. I'm only reviewing two of them, but the three I picked were All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and One-Armed Jack, Uncovering the Real Jack the Ripper, another Uncovering the Real Jack the Ripper by Sarah Bax Horton. I haven't read this. I didn't get to read this, and to be honest, I've read so many This is the Real Jack the Ripper and Jack the Ripper this, and this one's really Jack the Ripper, that I'm all Jack the Rippered out. So I decided not to read this because I really don't think Jack the Ripper would have been one-armed. I really, really don't.
My picks for June were The Puppet Show by M.W. Craven, Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, and Alex Kingston's The Ruby's Curse, which is a Doctor Who story. I've read two of the three books, and I'll get into which ones I have read later. So Jo, if you want to go first with one of yours.
To start with this one, even though it's called All the Bright Places, it's about suicide, in all honesty. You've got these two youngsters. What's his name? I've forgotten his name.
Is it on the back somewhere?
His name's Finch, and the girl's name is Violet.
Yeah.
Now they meet up in the bell tower, and he's sat with his legs over. He's in the bell tower, and he's sat on the wall with his legs over, and he's looking over, and she appears, and he sort of rescues her, stops her jumping, and she sort of returns the compliment, as it were. She helps him, but everybody who saw them down below is under the impression that she saved him. They didn't realise it. He saved her, and he keeps quiet about it. Now they're both sort of odd in respect that then don't have any really, really close friends. He tends to be picked on a lot. She does have the odd friend, but she's also classed as a bit weird. They're both suffering from depression for various different reasons, and it's very bad depression. And they both see a counsellor. One sees the male counsellor, that's Finch, and Violet sees the female counsellor at the school. Violet had a sister who died in a car crash, and Violet's going through the guilt that she lived. I mean, she was in the crash herself. Her sister died, but she lived, so she finds that difficult to cope with, and she was very close to her sister. So that's why she's in this dark place. He's got a bad family life. His mum died of cancer. His dad is brutal, constantly puts him down every which way. Everyone at school thinks he's weird. He's sort of bullied, he's picked on, he hasn't got any real close friends. And unfortunately, what I do like about the book, because they're trying to find all the bright things to keep you, all the positives to keep you together, to keep you going, friendship being one of them. They do become good friends.
I'm surprised you read that though. It's not your type of book to read, is it?
It brought a lot of dark things that I'd locked away.
Yeah.
It did, and I did find it very difficult. So
did you finish reading it?
No.
No.
I sort of did. There was a couple of chapters where I didn't read.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
skip them.
I skipped them, but I did because there is a suicide in it. I'm not going to tell you which one of them
No.
dies, but one of them manages to do what they wanted to do.
Well, you read what you needed to read, and you don't need to read anymore.
The ending is quite bright places. It sort of not ends exactly on a positive, but it does have a nice little ending. The thing is, Jennifer Niven, her couple of people in her family killed themselves, which is why she's
written that book.
Yeah. You can understand it. You can. It's really good when you read and it explains everything, and you think, and I think it will help people realise that when they're with their friends and their friends may be acting all nice and bright, but their friends aren't nice and bright. I did give this a 4.5.
What you should have done is just read what you could, and then if you couldn't read any more, just read the 2 chapters at the end, and then you've got.
Well, it's just the 2 chapters I didn't read.
Yeah.
I had to understand the ending. I had to know which one had killed the cell, so I had to search for that. So it was only 2 chapters I didn't read.
It'd been hard for anyone to read that.
It is a hard book, but I do suggest that if you're somebody who's been in a really dark place, you don't read this.
And that, you'd be surprised, but that's a young adult book.
Yes.
It's not an adult book.
No.
It's a young adult.
I can understand why it's aimed at young adults.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young people that are probably going through hell right now, and some of them might find bits of this helpful.
Yeah.
But I think if you've been through that and you're going through a bad time at the moment, this is not the book that you need to read. But it is a good book, and as I say, I did give it 4.5. But I think it's more for people that have never understood it, because it will help you understand what some people go through and why some people have taken that route, and why people may not manage to do it, and they may not be happy that they've not managed to do it, but it will help those that haven't been through that darkness to understand it. So in that case, it is a good book for somebody who's never been through it to read. So I would recommend it for them.
Good.
Not an easy one to read.
So the first one I read was Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. And knowing our previous history with reading Lisa Jewell, I did expect to like this one. And it did surprise me. I didn't give it as many stars as I thought I would, but it was still a good book. So what happens is, there's a 15-year-old girl called Ellie Mack, and she is currently going through what's called her GCSEs in the UK, her final exams. This is set in the UK, by the way. But I said that because if you're watching from the USA, in the UK, in secondary school, we have GCSEs, which is like our final exams. So she's currently going through her GCSEs, but she's struggling with math. So she gets a math tutor, an Irish lady, and she comes to a few tutoring sessions, but Ellie starts to notice that the lady's a bit weird. Like, she keeps giving Ellie presents and stuff, and buying her a lip gloss that she's seen in the shop, and then Ellie finds her really weird and really going to the tutoring session, but at the end of the day they're not tutoring, they're just talking about Ellie's life and what Ellie wants to do when she's older, and because she's asking her questions, the tutor is. I forget the Irish lady's name. Noelle, that's it, she's called Noelle. Noelle's asking her questions about what she wants to do with her life and things like that, and Ellie finds it weird, so she asks her mum to call her and say she doesn't want the tutoring anymore, she's fine with the exams now. The next day, on Ellie's way to school, I believe it is, Ellie goes missing, and her mum doesn't understand why, because the police rule it as that she's run away, but years later her body is found, her skeletal remains are found, and her school bag is found. But around this time the mum has a burglary, but it's not like random things was taken, like it wasn't things like TV, jewellery, you know, the expensive stuff. It was things like 2 candlesticks, chocolate cake,
stuff that couldn't really be sold.
Yeah, and we find out what's happened to Ellie throughout. But in the meantime, Ellie's mum Laurel, obviously one of her daughters has gone missing, and Laurel was like, not Laurel, Ellie was like the favourite child, but she makes it, once Ellie has, Ellie's gone missing, but she makes it known to the children that not that she doesn't want anything to do with them, but that she doesn't care. Like, she stops buying the food, she stops cooking dinner, she just stops caring for the children because, yes, her heart's in smithereens, but she refers to her other daughter, Helen, is her name Helen? Something like that. She refers to her other daughter as names, and she calls her names and stuff. And so they grow apart. Ellie's boyfriend Theo is questioned by the police, and he has nothing to do with it. There wasn't anything together on that day. He's got an alibi. It wasn't him. Because of the disappearance, Ellie's dad and mum, the parents, separate. So Laurel's been spending all this time alone, you know, thinking her own thoughts in her own head and things like that. And then Laurel, she's in a cafe one day and she meets this other man called Floyd, and they start a relationship. And Floyd has got 2 children, SJ, Sarah Jane, from his previous, relationship, but one previous relationship. And then he's got another daughter, a 9-year-old girl. And she's really, really smart because Floyd is like a professor, an author, things like that, really intelligent. But the daughter's really intelligent as well. To the point where she never goes to school. He's always homeschooling her. But she doesn't speak or act like a 9-year-old. She acts like and speaks like a 39-year-old.
She's a genius child, a
yeah,
gifted
but
child.
to the point where it's weird. And then one day, obviously, after they've been together for quite a while, Floyd and Laurel's upstairs with the young girl, I can't remember her name, with the 9-year-old girl. Yeah, she meets his 9-year-old daughter, I can't remember her name. Laurel's upstairs with her, and she notices there's 2 candlesticks on the top of the girl's bookcase, and she goes, "My dad gave me those. They were from my dad." And then Laurel starts to question things. He had nothing to do with Ellie's disappearance, but it's got something to do with how they ended up on her bookcase. And when you find out what happened to Ellie and how sadistic and that it was, and they find out the truth of why her remains were where they were, she is dead, Ellie. Now she is dead. And who the girl is, you think, wow. It turns out that Ellie's sister is dating Ellie's boyfriend now because they've grew closer after the disappearance of Ellie.
Yeah.
And then Laurel finds out what's happened to Ellie. Floyd comes clean about everything, and then Laurel and the other daughter and her other son grow closer because she leaves her a voice note saying, "Look, my apologies over the last few years. I do love you. You are my daughter. I was just, heartbroken when you lose one of your youngest children. That happened."
Yeah, you go into a dark place. But didn't they ever suspect this tutor who seemed to have an odd interest in Ellie?
No, because she'd gone missing as well.
Oh, right.
And she was only like tutoring for a few weeks.
Yeah,
6, 7
it's just
weeks.
that Ellie seemed to get missing after she was told she didn't want the extra tutor.
It wasn't straight away. Ellie went missing, so she hadn't had tutoring sessions for a while.
Right.
And then I can't remember if she was on her way to school or shopping or something, but I think she was on her way to school, but you have to walk past certain shops to get to school. And she walked past the cafe and she saw the tutor, and the tutor stopped and spoke to her and said something like, "I've got some extra tutoring papers that I can give you for free at my house if you just want to come and get them, and then you can go to school after that. I didn't want to miss you while I saw you, while it was on my mind." And then after that, she went missing.
That's what I mean. So she would sort of be the first Reading that, I'd have thought, oh, I bet she had something to do with it, but you're saying she didn't.
I'm not saying she didn't, I'm saying she's gone missing.
Oh, she's gone missing as well.
Yeah, and then it's not until Laurel starts questioning everything that Floyd says, even though he didn't do it, it's just suspicious.
Right.
Noelle Donnelly, her name is. Let me just find out what the young girl's called. So Hannah is the other daughter, not Helen. Hannah, she's called.
Hannah.
Poppy, that's it. Poppy's a 9-year-old girl. Yeah, it's a really good book. So the end is a twist because I didn't see it coming. But the thing that annoys me is I didn't like how the first bit of the book, the first few chapters, were more to do with, like, yes, it was about Ellie, but I got the feeling how much Laurel resented her as a daughter because she wasn't Ellie, and no matter what Hannah did, she was, but you're not Ellie.
She couldn't do right for doing
Yeah, she couldn't do right for doing wrong, and they grew apart to the point where she wouldn't tell her mum anything, she wouldn't speak to her mum. They had like 3-minute phone calls, and the mum was going there to clean a flat, and Hannah wouldn't be there, and then Hannah would just leave £30 on the side to give to her mum for cleaning the flat because Hannah was working a lot. Turns out she wasn't working a lot, she was seeing her boyfriend, but she never told her mum because, you know, they couldn't have a conversation about anything because Laurel knew nothing about her really, her later in life. And obviously Laurel had another child, a son as well, Jonathan, and he had a girlfriend called Bonnie Blue, Bonnie even, or Blue. Bonnie I think her name was. Yeah, he had a girlfriend called Bonnie, and it wasn't until Laurel was on the phone to Bonnie that she said, such and such, I'm not going to say who, gives me a bad aura. You know, I find it weird being around them. That Laurel didn't believe her, but she started to question things more, and she started to question what Floyd was doing.
It just made
a light switch in her head go off. It was really good, I did like it. But for me, because of the situation and what happens, and I know books like this are always hard anyway, but what happened to her and the nature of the kidnapping and things, I just found a little bit weird.
Well, normally I always understood that with kidnappers is always, doesn't make it a good reason, but there is always some sort of motive for it. Money, to sell somebody, you know. There's always something that the kidnapper wants, that's why they've taken that person.
Yeah. And the reason, one of the things, SJ's not mentioned a lot. Floyd's older daughter isn't mentioned a lot in the book. I was going to say film then. She is a vital part in this story, but she's not mentioned a lot.
Oh, right.
So I don't want to say too much, but she notices something when she's younger, and she doesn't tell anybody, but she tells Laurel, and then Laurel starts to put the pieces together as to what has happened.
Oh.
And it kind of makes sense.
So how much did you give it? Well,
4 stars out of 5. Yeah, I really liked it, and I like Lisa Jewell. There were some stories of hers I was like, that's not for me. Like, I don't think I'd read The Family Upstairs, but some of them are one that Joe reviewed like in the last video. But stuff like this I do like, and I really love the cover. But yeah, I recommend this to people that like these kind of books because Lisa Jewell is one of my favourite authors. So 4 stars out of 5 from me.
My next one is Daisy Jones and the Six.
It's about a band, isn't it?
It is. This is about a band, and it's sort of in the vein of Fleetwood Mac.
I was going to say she reminds me of Stevie Nicks.
It is set in the vein of Fleetwood Mac. There's this band, there's 6 of them in it. You've got a couple, you know, like Lindsay Buckingham and Stevie Nicks, but, you know, Daisy Jones and hers. And it is basically a fictional Fleetwood Mac, to be honest. What I did like about it is it's almost in a script, like a play, because you've got the name of the person that they're interviewing.
Because the TV shows like that.
Yes,
as well.
yeah. So I did find that interesting.
Did you like it?
Yeah. So in fact, as soon as I started reading it, I thought, oh, Fleetwood Mac.
I love Fleetwood Mac.
I love Fleetwood Mac. I really do. I've got some of their albums. And also, they've got songs at the back. Some of their songs, you know, maybe one or two of them. I'll just add it in. Yeah, this one's called A Hope Like You. So they've got like verses, and this one's Midnight. So they've got some, I mean, obviously you don't know what the tunes are, they're more like just poems, but they're great, they're really good. I like, it'd be interesting, you know, if Fleetwood Mac ever took these words and put some music to them.
Copyrighted, aren't they, at the minute?
Well, yeah, but I mean, if they spoke to the author and said, we'd like to make a song of this, and they wrote music for it, then, you know, they could. This one's Chasing the Night. So, yeah, it's intriguing. It's not something I would normally read, because it is basically just about a group that sort of have a very, very open split, you know, like Fleetwood Mac did, very, you know, noticeable. But Reese Witherspoon has read it, and she said, I fell head over heels for Daisy and devoured this in a day. I can understand why she did that. Although I have been in quite a slump, so it's taken me a while to read books at the moment. But yeah, it was pretty good. As I say, not the sort of thing I would normally write, because there's no murder mystery or anything, nothing I would read like that, but it was good, and it's something I wouldn't normally
I'd like to read that.
Yeah, you should do, actually. I did sort of enjoy it. I gave it a 4. And yeah, I like the way it was written. You could just sort of imagine the person asking the question, the interviewer asking the question, and each one, you can create a voice in, you know, when I was reading the answers from each band member, you could just picture a voice in there. It's that well read, you know, written. You can imagine a voice for that person. So I did find it good. I was very impressed with it, actually. As I say, it's not something I would normally read, but yeah, I enjoyed it very much, very much. Because it goes from whatever period to when they split up, and it's good. It's a feel-good sort of thing. Good. Yeah, I did enjoy it, and as I say, I gave it 4 out of 5.
So it's 2 books then that aren't kind of your thing, but you've given 4.
Yeah, because I could, the one obviously I experienced with the stuff in there, and it just made me face things which I didn't like. So that's why I say it's better for somebody who's never been through it to understand why people go through it. And the Daisy Jones and the Six, because it's not what I would call a romance book, but it's really good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
So the next one, and Joe can tell because the cover of this book is horrible, and I never let my covers get horrible, but it's been in my bag and all the corners are curled off.
She's really not going to like that now, are you?
No, but this is a 5-star read.
Oh,
wow. I loved it.
I've got to say, you know me, I don't bother about covers. But it's the title that always affects me, but I do find that very enigmatic.
So this is obviously a murder, not a murder mystery, but it's a crime, a thriller book. And it starts off with the NCA, the National Crime Agency. They get this burned body, and it's that burn that it's like the body is curled up because it's made all the muscles contract and things like that. And they have to get a special analyst from the NCA, Tilly Bradshaw, because she's a genius and she's created these programs that like the police haven't yet got. She uses her powers to analyse the body, and she finds some words etched in to the body and what's called a percussion point, which is basically a backwards question mark. And when she looks at the words on the body, it is the name of a former disgraced detective called Washington Poe from the Cumbria Police. So when she tells Stephanie Flynn, who's her boss, I found these words. It says Washington Poe. They know that he has to get involved in the case. The killer wants him involved in the case. So he's currently on suspension, living in Cumbria, and they lift his suspension so he can be involved in this case. And there's a lot of bodies being burnt around like the stone circles in Cumbria, or in the stone circles in Cumbria. So they get him involved, they lift his suspension because they gave him an ultimatum really. We either lift your suspension and come back, or we lift your suspension and you get terminated, so you can't be a cop again. Yeah, you have to resign. So he decides to help out and go back to, this S-Cas.
Well, it was a no-brainer really.
Exactly.
He wanted to be a cop.
So because they call the killer the Immolation Man, because of what he does, burns the bodies, cuts the bodies up. It doesn't cut them up as such. He cuts one part of the body off. So they work to the rule of 9, which is 99% of the body gets burnt, 1% doesn't. And I can't say a lot about the end of the book because it will give away. It was a hard read, but Washington Poe gets involved. On the case with him is Tilly Bradshaw, who's the analyst, the genius analyst. His boss, Stephanie Flynn, for the National Crime Agency, but then Cumbria Police have to get involved as well, which is Detective Gamble, or SIO, Senior Investigating Officer Gamble, and then Detective Reid, Killian Reid, which is one of Poe's best friends. Poe's known him for 15-20 years, and they're in the case working together because Poe, he's analytical about things. He's the way he does his cop work, isn't very traditional. It's not traditional cop work. He doesn't do things by the book. He will go against orders.
Is that why he was suspended? Because he did?
Because of a previous case of, you find out later on why. So because of a previous case where a suspect was murdered because of something that Poe had done, it was either give a false report on something and put someone's name out there to get them butchered and murdered and tortured, or lose his career. So it was a career defining, but it made him get suspended because if it wasn't for him giving the false name and the false report, this person wouldn't have got tortured. So there, obviously you've got Cumbria Police and the NCA looking into the case. Bodies are turning up left, right and centre. And then they learn about a murder 30 years ago where there's a body found and he's, he's not covered in salt, but because they're working in salt mines, the body is like
mummified?
Yeah, left in the salt, and they just cover it with salt, but nobody finds it because it's with the snow as well. And it hasn't decomposed because of the salt.
It's mummified.
Yeah. That person is called, I believe he's called Quentin somebody. Anyway, they investigating this murder from 30 years ago. More bodies are turning up, burnt. Immolation Man's working again. And then there's one where the pieces are coming together. Poe is realising who the Immolation Man is, realising that, people are pulling strings for this to happen. It's closer to home than what he wants it to be. But he doesn't realise the lengths he has to go to uncover who it is, because things will get covered up. So it turns out that the 1% of the body that isn't getting burnt is a genitalia, because the murderer is cutting it off, men only, gagging the men, and then setting fire to the body. So that's not getting burnt because it's in the mouth. And the bodies are that burnt that turns out that the killer is using not just petrol but a different accelerant as well that will go deep into the skin and in the flesh. They know what they're doing. So there's about 5 or 6 bodies at this point. He's putting the pieces together. It turns out that the reason the murders started to happen like 26, 30 years ago is because children were being sold and the murderer was getting their own back. So not kind of like a vigilante, but justice was happening. And when he realises who the killer is, and they're one of the 4 children, one of the 4 boys.
Is it one of the children that were sold?
But they weren't sold. They were, but they weren't. It looks like they ran away. They bought a train ticket to London.
Right, so they were sold, but they managed to escape. Is that what you're saying? Or they were given money?
They were killed.
Right.
And he was a 4th one that his owner, purchaser, wouldn't kill him, wouldn't want
But
to
he
keep
had
him.
bought him.
But he had bought
Yeah,
him.
so
Yeah.
the child was sold to somebody.
Yeah, they were sold, but after a short while they were told to kill them, and that they were like orphans. They were part of a children's home called 7 Pines. There were 7 trees, 7 pine trees, so it was called 7 Pines. And there was a social worker called Hilary Swift. That was it. I knew her name was something. Hilary Swift was the social worker in charge of these 4 boys. But there was a charity event that happened, like an auction type thing, and what she said to the children was, "Do you want to make some money? You know, you can be waiters on the boat." But her actual plan was, they were waiters on the boat, they were doing the duties, but it was her way of parading them.
Yeah, so it was trafficking. Really.
Yeah. And the murder, the victim from 30 years ago was part of that.
Mm.
And when the investigation was happening, they looked into his bank account and he had over £500,000 in that bank account. But they didn't know he had a secret account, and she earned a fee for that, and she was still living in that children's home that now wasn't a children's home, but she owned it, and she got it because of that fee that she got for having a part in the auctioning of the children. So it's a hard read. It was really hard for me to read, but the way it's done and how the killer justifies, how the immolation man justifies the killings because he was getting his own back for his friends and
for himself.
And for himself, and for killing the people that needed to be killed, because not
That's
only
the only way you get justice, because even if they managed to bring them to justice, they'd have a prison sentence and be out in no time. So that would not be justice.
So what was happening? Not everybody, was buying children, but people involved in that event later on. So obviously, 30 years after the first person was killed, they were now like high up in their field. They'd got special jobs. They were in power, and that killed him to see. He goes, "I don't want people like that to be in power." Saying that they're big influences. So he was taking the law into his own hands, but he was the law. That's the problem. It's somebody who he knows, and he has a hard decision to make. And he, in the end, when he finds out who it is, and he goes to the house, and he's realised that the killer has, rigged the house to be set on fire. He goes in, and he's like, "Oh my God, is he going to die? Is Washington Poe going to die?" And it's really good. I don't want to tell you what happens at the end, but it's really good. And I gave this a 5 out of 5 because, again, the story's hard, but the way it's written and the way it makes you feel so angry in the middle, and then you kind of feel sorry for the killer, the immolation man, because of why he's doing it. And I'm like, you know what, they deserved it. Yeah. Every bit of it, they deserved it. So, well done, N.W. Craven. From this book, he's one of my new favourite authors, and I can't wait to read his other stories. But I'd recommend this to people if they can stomach this kind of story. But the only turnaround for me was why he was killing them, and they got killed. So yeah.
Sometimes there aren't that Chris Carter one, Genesis. I ended up understanding why the murderer was murdering and why each death that they got was because of what they'd done to Genesis. So yeah, when it's like
it's hard
that,
to read, but the way it's written is so good. The way using his prose and stuff. But yeah, the way it's written, the sentence structure, and each character has different.
Very three-dimensional characters.
Yeah, they've all got their own personality and their own powerhouse. They're all powerhouses in one way or another, and I really loved it, and it was so good. It was gripping.
Yeah.
The story was hard, but it was gripping. Yeah. So 5 out of 5. I loved NW Craven.
That's good. So Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I gave this 4. All the Bright Places, Jennifer Niven, I gave this 4.5. One Armed Jack, Uncovering the Real Jack the Ripper. Again, I didn't read it because, to be honest, I really can't believe with what he did to those women was Jack the Ripper one-armed. No way. And they wouldn't have had the fake arms that you can get. No.
And the distance as well.
Well, it's not just that, it's an impossibility.
I know
with
that.
what he did, especially to the last one, Mary Jane Kelly, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No way could he have had one arm. So I haven't read it.
Especially not with 2 in one night, So my third book was the Alex Kingston's The Ruby's Curse. I didn't read this one, but I really want to read it. So for my next pick, this will be going in automatically, and I'll only be choosing 2 books because I really want to read it. I just didn't get a chance to because of this book, The Crochet, looking after my sister's dogs. I was away for 9 days and I didn't get a chance to read. I kept messaging Jo going, I've taken the book with me, but I haven't had a chance to read because the dogs didn't leave me alone. I didn't get 5 minutes peace, even when I was in the shower, on the toilet. But they're lovely dogs. But
you can read
them. I'm going to read this. I'm only going to choose 2 books because this is going to be my hard copy anyway. So 5 stars for that one, 4 stars for that one. Both brilliant books though, just in different veins. This one's a lot shorter than this one, but it packs a lot in. It's really good. If you can stomach the story and the premise of the background of what happened to the children, it's a really good 5-star read. That one, kind of similar, but not so. Hard read, 4 stars. Didn't like the beginning of the story in regards to how much the mother hated her own daughter. Hate's a wrong word, resented her own daughter. But when you understood and what happens at the end, you like it more. So 4 stars for that one, and that one's going. So yeah, going into next month's one for July.
I went into charity shops, a couple of charity shops, and I found this one by Agatha Christie. They came to Baghdad. I've never heard of it. And my mum was a big Agatha Christie fan. She was always getting Agatha Christie out of the library. So I got this from a charity shop, and Sparkling Cyanide, I got that as well. That's a popular one, isn't it? Yeah, I've seen a film with Anthony Andrews in it, and a television drama, which was slightly different, which had Kenneth Branagh in it as the football manager. And they were both very good, but I'm interested in reading the book. And as you know, a few months back we did Sarah Yarwood Love It, and I found this. I've already reviewed this, of course.
But they're good, aren't they?
But they are very good, and I saw this and I thought, well, I'll get this one as well. Then I went into another charity shop.
You're on the prowl now.
I am. And I've read The Thursday Murder Club. Kim did a review on The Thursday Murder Club, Richard Osman. And I saw this in the charity shop and I thought, yeah, I've got to get it. She's also read this one and done a review on it, Holly Jackson's Reappearance of Rachel Price. This one is the one that hasn't been edited properly. It would have been the author would have been sent several copies. They're normally about 6 copies, I think they're sent. So it's not for resale, so I don't know how it ended up in a charity shop. And it hasn't, it's got a sort of different cover, and it hasn't really, it's uncorrected, put it that way. It's an uncorrected proof copy, and I got that from a charity And then I've got James Patterson, because
Oh,
I do
that'll
like
be good.
James Patterson. I haven't read this yet. It's called Countdown. And again, got this from a charity shop. In fact, the three of them just came to £1, which wasn't bad. And it has been my birthday this month. Some of you may know it's my birthday this month. I don't let out when it's my birthday because I don't see the point. My friends know when it's my birthday. Those that don't know me don't, and they don't need to know. But both me and Kim have a birthday in July, and it's coming up to Kim's, but I won't say any more than that's for her to say. And my friend Pamela bought me this. Now, this is by those of you that used to have Kerrang, the magazine Kerrang. Crusher Jewell, Stephen Crusher Jewell, was, I believe, the art director for a time, and he used to go on a lot of tours. And he went on, this is After Forever, the inside story of Black Sabbath's greatest tour. And it's in his diary
Do you
form.
like Black Sabbath?
I did like that, because I like Tony Iommi.
Did Crusher go to the last ever concert on the 5th of July?
No, he wasn't invited.
Oh.
Yeah, we won't go into that.
Okay.
But he did it in diary form, and he's taken loads. He's a very good photographer as well, and he's taken some great pictures. There's some very naughty pictures as well, which I won't show.
No.
But he's taken some great photos of Ozzy, which you can see there, a good photo of Ozzy. You can get it from Amazon, and there's a great picture of Crusher with Ozzy on the back. It's taken him a long while, as you can see. It's a very thick book.
Isn't it?
It's wonderful. So there's great pictures, and he's done it in diary form. So he's even got Wednesday, the 2nd of June 1999, and he's written.
I was 1. No, I was 8 then. 8.
So there's just, I can't wait to give this a good read.
Well, that'll be good.
Yeah. But I know it's going to be good because Crusher's brilliant. So I've met the guy and he's lovely. He really is wonderful. He's a great laugh and a lovely, lovely man. So if you want to order it, you have to order it from Amazon. So I would, if I were you, I'd give that an order while it's still going.
So, thank you for watching this video. We hope you like some of the reviews we've done. I hope you like Joe's mini haul at the end. We can't show you what we're reading next month because, again, we've still got some of the TBR, so it's still the mystery pick. I'll be picking 2 because I'll be reading the Doctor Who one as well. Joe will be choosing 2 or 3, depending on what she feels like. Because we're slowly going down the portal. There's not that many left now. We started with about 27, 28.
28.
Yeah,
it's 28.
We've chosen 3 for the last 2 months, so that's 3 each, that's 6, 12. So there's 16 books left that we've got to choose from. But that's still a lot, 16 books.
It is.
Then somehow I've still got more on the TBR at home because I've been buying more. But I'm not going to include them in these because I don't want it to go on forever.
No, we want to start having some proper themes.
Themes again, because obviously September, October, November, December are coming up and they're going to be themed as per the theme for that month. So, we're going to end this video here. Please comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. Yeah. If you want to send us a message on Facebook, Joe runs that. Please send a message or a comment or a post on Facebook. Yeah. If you want to message on Instagram, I run that. Please comment. Or even if you just want to say, read this, it was very good, or put one word, great, no, don't like it, whatever. We respond to most comments as long as they're within reason. So if you want to have a quick chat with us, let us know. And yeah, we hope to speak to you all soon and see you in the next video. Bye! Bye!